All right, so you guys already have seen the sine, the cosine, and the tangent. Now I want to introduce you to three more. Let me find a space to write it. Oops, let me screenshot first. Okay, so I'm just gonna zoom into this spot because then I have space and I want you guys to take notes on this, okay? So we're going to do all 6 of the trig functions. You already know 3. So you already know the sine, which is the x, oops, sorry, is the y. You already know the cosine, which is the x, and you know the tangent, which is sine over cosine, so y over x. Now I introduce to you their reciprocals. So sine has cosecant. It's abbreviated as CSC, cosecant. Let me write it underneath. Cosecant. Okay, so cosecant is 1 over sine, which means it's 1 over y. So write that down. Let me make a little table out of this so it doesn't all get blended together. Okay, so you also know cosine. So the reciprocal of cosine is just secant. Oops, sorry. Let me write secant on the underneath part. So let me write the abbreviation up top. SEC for secant, and that's 1 over cosine, which means it's 1 over x. And then how do you spell it? It's SECant. Not that you really need to know how to spell it, but if you see how it's spelled, then you'll remember how it's said. So you don't like have to say CSC. It's cosecant, and SEC is secant. And then there's one more. It's the reciprocal of tangent. So that's cotangent, abbreviated as COT. Don't say cot, it's cotangent. And make sure you guys are writing this down, okay? Like I said earlier, you should write this down because you get to use your notes on your tests. You get to use your notes on your homework. So you might as well take notes so that you can help yourself succeed. Anyways, so cotangent is 1 over tangent. Which means it's also cosine over sine. So you know how tangent was sine over cosine. This one's flipped, cosine over sine, which also means it's x over y, where tangent was y over x. So here are all 6 trig functions, okay? I'll give you guys a little bit of time to write it down, and then I'll just pause recording as I do that. So I know I just gave you these definitions, but do you guys have any clarification questions, or did I write too tiny, anything? Let me know. Alrighty, then we're gonna go right into it. I'm gonna zoom out so that we can actually see everything again. Find the exact value of cosecant of 0 degrees in the simplest form. So let me highlight the angle that we're looking for, which is 0 degrees. So here's 0 degrees. That means the point we're talking about is right here. And then, let's see, cosecant is 1 over sine. I'm just going to point right here. Cosecant is 1 over sine, which means it's 1 over the y. I'm just going to write that over here so that you guys can remember. Cosecant is 1 over y. And then let's take a look at our y value over here. 0. So then we have 1 over 0. Okay. Does anybody see a problem with 1 over 0? All right, so Sorry, it sounded like I was asking to see if you had any questions. My real question was, can you divide by 0? Yes or no?
No.
No! So that means our answer is undefined. Okay, so now that we have all 6 trig functions, we can have undefined answers. Actually, you could have had an undefined tangent. That would have happened. But in this case, we have undefined because you cannot divide by 0. So anytime you divide by 0, it's undefined. Anytime you divide by 0, it's undefined. Okay? Do you guys have any questions on this one? Okay, let me put undefined in, and we'll do more examples, of course. Oh wait, you just click there. You just literally click the undefined button. I guess you could type it in too, but why would you spend time typing it when you can just click the button? All right, we already know how to do a tangent. Let's not do a tangent right now. Okay, secant, cool. Find the exact value of secant of 330 degrees in simplest form with a rational denominator. So let me remind you that secant is 1 over cosine, which is 1 over x. Okay, so we're going to do 1 over x, just to remind you guys. But you already have that in that chart that we drew in the very beginning. So let's find our angle. Our angle is 330. That's right over here. And then that's our point. Now we need to look for our x value so that we can do 1 over x. Here is our x value. Okay, trying to make a big arrow so you can see it. Okay, so now let's put it all together into our little formula. 1 over the x value, which is root 3 over 2. Okay, and then since we're putting 1 divided by a fraction, it's really 1 divided by root 3 over 2. When you divide by a fraction, it's always the same thing as keeping the first number, but switching the dividing to a multiply and make it the reciprocal. So instead of root 3 over 2, it's now 2. I'm going to make this bolder because I'm writing over that plus sign. 2 over root 3. So anytime you divide by a fraction, it's multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay? So we have 1 times 2 over root 3. Well, 1 times anything is just the anything. So since it's just 1 times 2 over root 3, this is just 2 over root 3. Any questions up till here before I keep going? Because we're not done yet. Okay, interrupt me if you come up with a question, but since I didn't hear anything, I'm going to keep going. Right here, we have 2 over root 3, which is not a rational denominator. Rational denominator means you don't want the square root on the bottom, okay? So we have a square root on the bottom, and so to remind you guys how to get rid of that, what you need to do is multiply both the top and the bottom with that same radical. So since there was a radical 3 on the denominator, I multiply the top and bottom by radical 3. Top and bottom by root 3. So then 2 times root 3 is literally just 2 root 3. Let me zoom in a little bit. 2 times root 3 is 2 root 3. And root 3 times root 3 is just 3. Because remember that you have root 3 times root 3 is really root 3 squared. And the square root and the squared cancel each other out. So it's like, oops, like that. And then it's just a 3 left over. Okay? And you can test it on the calculator too. So root 3 times root 3, it'll just give you 3. So finally, we got rid of the radical on the denominator. We are all good to go. This can be our answer. So now that we finished the problem, do you guys have any questions? Okay, interrupt me if you do, but I'm going to submit this. 2 root 3 over 3. Two root 3. Use the right arrow to get out of the radical over 3. All right. Let's see. One more crazy one. And by crazy, I just mean like one that we haven't done before. Let's see if I can get you a cotangent. There we go. Wonderful. Find the exact value of cotangent of 330 degrees in simplest form with a rational denominator. Let me remind you that we just said cotangent is not y over x, but x over y, okay? That was from our chart from the beginning. So then let's find 330 degrees because that's the angle they told us. So I found it right over here. So this is the point we are using. Okay, and so on that point we have our x here and we have our y here. Let's put it together. Cotangent is equal to x, which is root 3 over 2, over y, which is negative 1/2. Since they are both over 2, essentially they can cancel out because what you're really doing is multiplying the top and the bottom by 2. They cancel out. You get root 3 over negative 1, which simplifies to negative root 3. This one's easier. It just so happened that we don't have a radical on the bottom, so it makes it easier. Any questions on this one?
Wait, did you multiply that by 2 and then?
Oh yeah, so let me see if I can just take away the, there you go. Yeah, I multiplied the top and bottom by 2 because that's technically, that is what you're doing when I tell you to just get rid of the over 2. Because the over 2 means both the top and bottom were divided by 2, so we just get rid of them by multiplying by 2.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, interrupt me if you do, but I'm going to submit this. Negative root 3. So negative root 3 is the answer. And ta-da! Okay, so let's see. That's it for this one.